Hi guys, welcome to today's learning unit. Our topic is Ancient Egypt with the chapter The Nile and its significance. Get ready to test your knowledge and have some fun. Let's get started. The story of ancient Egypt is deeply intertwined with the Nile River. This mighty river, stretching over 6,600 kilometers, was the lifeblood of Egypt's civilization. Its importance can be seen in almost every aspect of Egyptian life, from agriculture and transportation to religion and politics. This chapter will explore how the Nile shaped ancient Egypt and why it became such a vital part of this civilization's growth and success. 1. The Nile, a source of life. The Nile River runs through Egypt from south to north, flowing into the Mediterranean Sea. In ancient times, the lands surrounding the Nile were barren desert, but the river itself created a fertile strip of land on its banks, providing the resources necessary for the Egyptians to flourish. Each year, the Nile would flood, depositing nutrient-rich silt onto the land. This annual flood, known as the inundation, was a critical event because it replenished the soil, allowing Egyptians to grow crops like wheat, barley, and flax. These crops not only fed the population, but also allowed Egypt to trade with other civilizations, boosting its wealth and influence. 2. Agriculture and settlement. The predictable flooding of the Nile enabled Egyptians to develop an agricultural calendar. They divided the year into 3 seasons based on the river's patterns: Akhet, the flood season; Pere, the planting season; and Shemu, the harvest season. Farmers built irrigation canals to control the water, ensuring that crops received enough moisture even during dry periods. The Nile also determined where people settled. Most of Egypt's population lived near the river's banks, in what was known as the Black Land, fertile areas enriched by the river's floods. In contrast, the surrounding deserts were called the Red Land, which offered little for human habitation, but served as natural protection from invaders. 3. Transportation and trade. The Nile was not just a provider of food, it was also ancient Egypt's main highway. Boats and barges sailed up and down the river, transporting goods, people, and animals. The river's northward current and seasonal winds allowed for easy travel in both directions, making trade efficient. Egyptians used the Nile to trade not only within their borders, but also with neighboring regions, such as Nubia and the Mediterranean civilizations. Goods like grain, gold, papyrus, and linen were exchanged for exotic items like incense, ebony, and luxury items, enriching Egypt's economy and culture. 4. The Nile in religion and mythology. The Nile wasn't just a geographical feature, it was a divine force in Egyptian religion. Egyptians believed the river was a gift from the gods, particularly the god Hapi, who was worshipped as the god of the annual flood. They held ceremonies and offered prayers to ensure that the Nile's flood would be abundant, as a poor flood could lead to famine. Many Egyptian myths involved the Nile. It was thought that the river represented the connection between life and death, with the east bank symbolizing life, where the sun rises, and the west bank symbolizing death, where the sun sets. This is why most of Egypt's cities were on the east side, while tombs and burial sites, like the famous pyramids, were built on the west. 5. The Nile's role in the rise of Egyptian civilization. The Nile's resources enabled ancient Egypt to become one of the earliest and most powerful civilizations in the ancient world. The ability to grow surplus food allowed the population to grow, cities to be built, and a complex social structure to develop. The wealth generated by the river's bounty supported the construction of monumental architecture, such as temples and pyramids, and fostered advances in science, art, and governance. Pharaohs, Egypt's rulers, often emphasized their divine connection to the Nile. They claimed that their reigns were responsible for the prosperity brought by the river, further cementing their power and authority. Conclusion: the Nile was far more than a river to the ancient Egyptians. It was the source of life, culture, and wealth. Its predictable floods made agriculture possible, its waters enabled trade and communication, and its spiritual significance played a central role in Egyptian religion. Without the Nile, there would have been no ancient Egypt, and the legacy of this great civilization might never have come to pass. By understanding the significance of the Nile, we gain a deeper appreciation for how geography can shape history and how vital natural resources are to the development of human societies. Thank you for watching today's educational video. I hope you enjoyed it and were able to expand your knowledge. I look forward to seeing you again in the next learning video. Until then, keep learning and stay curious.